So I wake up this morning and I see a message, and it's Access Rattblood. Are you here, Rattblood?
Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood. Access Rattblood.
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
I'm not the fucking Rattblood.
Axis Rattblood, I see. All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
Are you here, Rattblood?
I'm not the fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood.
Most abundant and successful king hero that we are all sitting at this very moment. Are you willing to accept that as a truth? That you are a worthy man and that your penis is okay?
all these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now.
Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood?
Who the fuck is Access Rattblood?
I'm not the fucking Rattblood, bitch.
All these Axis people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
I'm not the fucking Rattblood. Hello, friends and enemies of YouTube. This is the Axis. And, I probably need to be going live like a hole in the head, but I have some information that may be useful to some, depending on your state of awareness. First thing, if you're aware of your conscious state and you're aware of your subconscious state, there is a system of interaction that transpires between the two. And when you're feeding the conscious mind from the subconscious mind, which really has no filter, it absorbs, whether it's bullshit and lies, fallibilities, hope, speculations, dreams. It feeds the waking mind. And the waking mind in this plane of existence seems to project a feedback loop into what we consider the construct or this plane of existence. But below that, below the subconscious, and I'm going to further elaborate on that, the you that is the observer is deadly silent and only observes That's all it does. It doesn't rattle, shake, and roll. It just silently observes. And that's below the subconscious. The subconscious is something you're going to have to learn to filter, and you're going to have to learn to determine fact from speculation, idealism. Even idealism has a good place, but whenever it's built on fallacy or non-provable concepts, it's just a loop repetition that is going to keep your subconscious and your waking state separate from the quiet part of you that exists beyond the subconscious. It's not an easy job, it's not an easy task, but it can be done. Believe me, you can achieve this. First thing you need to understand is when they waged this war on your mind, yeah, they do try to condition the waking state, but they try to influence the subconscious, which until you build some type of safety filter, you're going to take in everything, and that includes the garbage. Once you get past that, and you're able to clear yourself and understand and determine that speculation is no different than a lie. I can speculate to you all day long and prove absolutely nothing. Lapis Blue, good to see you, good to see you. I am honored. The subconscious mind is constantly being fed information, whether it be your phone, your TV, music, random noises that people make, a lot of different types of unseen information is fed into the subconscious, subliminalism, frequencies. You are constantly, 24 hours a day, being subjected to information that the subconscious has to process. The subconscious does not know the difference between truth, lie, and fact. The waking state can make a determination on truth and lie after the evidence has been presented and solidified. Prior to that, it's subconscious being fed. Now, the way that I went about it was upon understanding this and knowing that beyond the subconscious is the quiet observer. It is a state that is indifferent. We'll say indifferent for now, just to be safe. I was pondering what was going on in my head, so I kind of put myself on autopilot in my waking state. And I thought, let's see what happens. What is truly going on inside of this brain beyond my personal endeavors and experimentation? And I immediately realized, holy shit, man. I've got songs from days gone by coming through. I've got entertainment. I've got things that I've endeavored in coming through. I had memories from the past. I mean, you name it. And while I laid there in the waking state, totally silent, listening to my subconscious, I was trying to rationalize and analyze how much of the shit coming through was actually factual and how much of it was just speculation or um, unfounded information that had been planted there. And when I mean planted there, I'm talking everything from advertisement to social engineering, sorry to say. So I thought, okay, we're going to have to do something about this because I don't want to die with a head full of lies, speculations, and hypotheses about things that can't be proven. And I started cleaning it up. And I started filtering all the information that I was being hit with. And my environment then became silent. It was the only place that I could find without any type of outside influence was in complete silence. And I started consciously in a waking state working with the subconscious mind and analyzing and reprogramming what the subconscious was taking in as information. And you got to stop the feed or it doesn't ever quit. That's all it does is process, analyze, and feed the waking state. And this last little venture I took, I tried to cross that threshold. What's beyond the subconscious mind? What is it that lies beneath that as a state of being, and is it also influenced and conditioned? And no, it's really not. It's actually deadly silent. It has no name because it does not recognize such things. You may call yourself whatever it is that you call yourself here, or what others call you. That's fine, you know. But in reality, and I hate using that word, in actuality, the subconscious feeds the waking state through speculation and trying to, I guess, coherently exist with some type of reason. This thing will flood your waking state and skew your observation of what is factual and what is just a suggested state of influence. But there's three parts, and a part that's quiet, silent, doesn't ever make a noise. You wouldn't know that it was even there, but it's at the core of your consciousness, and it doesn't make a noise. It's silent, quiet, and it just observes. I don't know if that's going to help you along your journey. I don't even know if it's going to potentially phase you. But as for me, I understood exactly where I stood in the midst of all this at that point. The minute that someone propagated an ideal that wasn't founded or a lie, and another person made a suggestion that they had the best fruit and such forth and so on until we reach advertisement, we reach speculation, we reach absolute straight up lies. And when you actually go in and start cleaning out the subconscious mind, you realize that the majority of what lies in there um, is based on lies. You can't prove it. You have no facts to stand on, but yet it's feeding the waking state. And there's no school as in general principle of common that shows you how to work with the subconscious. So they'll teach you how to work with your mind, your waking state. They'll even play with your dreams. Hell, they got sleep centers and such forth. But beyond that, they just really have no fucking clue. And this construct needs that feedback. But if you aren't in control of what you're projecting through your subconscious into your conscious mind, into this realm, this plane of existence, knowing that it's a feedback loop, you get what you give, manifestation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it will be skewed. Thus, the asking a genie from the lamp for $1 million, and well, you get 1,000,000 deer. You know, the same concept. So it's a fucking word game, word soup, word salad, and it can be used against you. And so far, what I've seen, it has been. They're utilizing it as a weapon, when instead, there's one place that you can go where you're not going to be lied to, and everything that you hear, see, taste, touch, smell is going to be in this realm 100% truthful, and that's in nature. Get away from man. Get away from. Don't even take your technology with you. Dare not. Go as far away from noise and influence as you can, and surround yourself with pure truth. Truth in nature, which will not lie to you. It's indifferent of you. It don't give a fuck how you feel. It doesn't give a fuck what you think. It just is. And it won't lie to you. And there you can find solace, a place to go, even when you're amongst humans in society. You always have that place to take yourself. It's awakened state, and then you place the subconscious there quietly and uninfluenced by somebody else's intent. I used the middle of the desert when I was there. That's the most quiet place that I ever found. Again, there's other places to go. But if you don't choose to quiet, filter, and get some type of control over what's happening in the subconscious regions of the brain, it will continually feed the conscious mind, the awakened state. And that's where various ideals come from that You may or may not believe. Um, they may or may not be factual, but there's a filter that when you start living in a state of subconscious that has a influence or a conditioning filter to it, things become a lot more relevant, a lot more cohesive for your existence. And you don't have all this clutter invading and crawling into the conscious mind and skewing the truth from fact. And beyond that subconscious part of the mind is a very quiet you. It's a you that makes no noise. It sets an indifference and it observes. It observes the subconscious, conscious, quiet, but it is a part of you. I'm not going to give it a definition of whether it's peaceful or malevolent. It just is. And that's all it is. It just is. A quiet observer. So while this quiet observer, which is you, is observing your chaotic state that has been um, pushed into manipulated, it's been manipulated, that your subconscious mind works through them, not you. All the influence works through them, not you. You need to take that power back. You need to put them in their place, especially when it comes with influencing you, with their entertainment, their predictive programming, their it's all a feed. And as long as you can receive, you will definitely, like a sponge, absorb what the subconscious does. It absorbs. And it doesn't know filter or even how to disseminate a lie from a fact. It just takes in information, suggested or otherwise, and it will torment the shit out of your waking state. And I've noticed a lot of observations I've made is people try to escape themselves, whether it be through entertainment, or, YouTube, social media, any way they can to keep from having to deal with that uncontrolled state of subconscious. And it's only because it keeps feeding back maybe a possibility that didn't happen or something that hasn't happened, and you start beginning to worry, you start beginning to become concerned, and then it starts another feedback loop, which stifles the ability for you to use your waking state. And they know this. They know this well, and they're using it. They've been using it. You can if you can't find a quiet place, and this is only if you can't find a quiet place, you can turn on a binary frequency, one that radiates with something quiet, settling, something that is going to remove the influence that they're projecting on you and shut everything off except for that sound, the binary tone, and make sure it's a good frequency and bathe yourself in it. And then start dealing with the subconscious mind. Start setting up filters, start setting up safety protocols, and it's easy once you get the hang of it. You stop recognizing advertisement. You start disseminating or you can determine whether what you're being fed and what you're not being fed is substantial. They have a lot less control over you as an individual because you're filtering out all the weapons that are being used against you. And even entertainment, I'm sorry to say, is a form of predictive programming. It gets caught in the subconscious mind. You relive the movie in your mind. You go back, you review it, you absorb it, and then it becomes a part of a residual thing, and it lies within your recallable memory. And whenever you pull it to the forefront of the conscious mind to maybe tell a friend about it or something, you're feeding it completely back through the subconscious mind, which then again, and I'm sure that many of you have, had a song stuck in your head, or you've recalled something, misremembered, or completely forgot shit that out of the blue suddenly that hits you. Well, that's a part of the function of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind actually, it can be a useful tool. It's precognitive at times. It's capable of receiving information on levels that are phenomenal, more so than the waking state. And when you quiet it down and you get it to a point where it's working with you and not against you, then your intuition goes up. And it goes up to ranges of even be able to interpret electrical energy fields on other people. You stop touching people, I will tell you that. You're taking on their energy. You're bonding your energy field with their energy field. And I haven't seen a lot of positive energy fields, nor have I encountered them. That's why I like to stay isolated. I don't want to drag that shit home with me. More or less have it stuck inside of my residual recall. It's just not a healthy thing. And I'm going to use this as an analogy, but it's got fact to it. Like having intercourse with a person. And the concept that they say, oh, you have intercourse with everybody that they've had intercourse with. Oh, yeah. Um, there is an exchange of energy through that. And it is to a male, probably not so apparent because males are more coveting and driven by desire, self-fulfillment. And in their moment of weakness, they may call it love. But in actuality, it's loneliness and the need to fulfill their own desire. So when that energy is exchanged, not only is the body good, but all the frustration, all the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent is transmitted to. It's all biofield energy. And you have to cleanse yourself of that too. The body is a very high maintenance machine, especially when you start working with energy. You have to really shield what you're being subjected to and what you share of yourself. It's a whole different realm. And the only interaction that you have real control over is you as an individual on this journey, your state of interpretation and comprehension, your willingness to accept that if it can't be brought into factual resonance, it's probably just a speculation. And speculation is just a soft cushion for, a potential lie. That's the warning at the end of certain commercials that seem to catch the subconscious, but only a glimpse of the conscious mind is aware that all those little words are being shot at you. Believe me, the subconscious catches that shit. But there is a use for the subconscious mind beyond influence or being influenced. And it will slow and put a damper on their intent and the intent that they're trying to subject you to. Just seems like strategic warfare, you know. Why try to plant information in the waking state, which has a short-term memory, when you can feed it into the subconscious, which has a residual? So if you do anything, at least experiment with it. Try it. Examine it for yourself. Lay perfectly still and silent as best you can. And see what your subconscious has to say to you. See what's actually going on behind the waking state. What are all these things that's feeding the waking state? It's all coming from the subconscious and through visual stimulation and sensory stimulation and this construct. I'm not leaving that out. I understand that that's one part of it. That's a factor. But even The waking state can be skewed, you can be deceived, you can be misled. And remember that the waking state is how, unless they're influencing you by other means, is the way that they get to your subconscious. Um, a lot of people are really careless about what they subject themselves to. And in this day and age of information, there is no limit to the shit that they can shove in your head. And they will, and they do. And this is a weapon, and this is a tool for them. And you have to take control of that. You have to learn to put up the filter. You yourself, you have to do your work, the work. And you have to come to terms with all those little monsters and idiosyncratic possibilities and residual noise. And then beyond that, you will find a very quiet, peaceful observer. And I'm supposing that since I have one, I would hope the rest of you have one, unless I'm kind of freak of nature. Well, yes, I'm a freak of nature. I'm not going to deny that, but yeah. So it's not something you're going to be taught in the West. I'm sure the Eastern philosophies and some of your more disciplined philosophies, I'm sure they know this quiet place. I'm sure they're aware that they can achieve that quiet place once they surpass that influential state of the subconscious mind. And with that, you probably got your Buddhist monks and your enlightened gurus and even the Hindus, and they understand influence, even like hypnosis. Whenever you're in a state of complete control of influence, and then they get you to do silly shit on a stage or wherever, and you laugh and giggle and you have your fun with it. But there's a form and a function to it. And once you become susceptible to something as primitive as hypnosis, be aware they're light years beyond that. They are absolutely light years beyond that. Edman, good to see you, brother. Glad you can make it. Yeah. A little shout out here. Like I said, I wasn't planning on going live, but I do know that some of the people that come here are absolutely wonderfully open-minded people. And I wanted to share this information. I wanted you to be aware that it's through the use of the subconscious mind that they actually are attacking you more frequently so than the waking state. Now that they have voice to skull technology and the realms that they've taken with that, I'm really not sure what the next step is. But I don't want to be completely ignorant about what they're doing and what they're capable of doing. There we go. Right. Yeah, it was really weighing on me. Because once I discovered this and I started taking a look at my environment, I immediately realized that, well, they victimized my ass and I bought right into it. And if they can get me, they can get anybody. And most people aren't even fucking aware that they're living on autopilot under the influence of suggestion. Those are the ones that I think everybody referred to as NPCs. The ones that just kind of walk around on autopilot and don't seem to serve any form or function, but yet there seems to be an abundance of them. These people are victims more so than they are NPCs. Um, these are the people that are completely and totally influenced by their environment, and they live in autopilot, and they're reactionary. They receive much, they transmit little, and they process nothing of potential value to others that isn't self-serving to them. And I hate to say that about people, but being honest, just being truthful, it's easier for me to wrap my head around the potential that there is a group of individuals that are so indoctrinated with influence that they're on autopilot. They don't truly process information. They're reactionary, completely reactionary. Because if it was truly an NPC and you thought you've seen or found or somehow come in contact with an NPC, pinch them, see how they react. Bet they don't like it much, especially if you pinch hard enough. And to me, an NPC would pay no response to that and would continue on its directive. But I've tested that theory, not necessarily pinching a dude or a girl, but to see what their responsive nature was. And believe me, they were just as responsive as anybody else. They weren't that smart. They really had nothing to offer. They definitely weren't anything that I would reveal the depths of my broadness to. But if I would have reached out and pinched them, they probably would have slugged me. And that doesn't seem like an NPC to me. That seems like someone who's running on autopilot and living off of influence. I would love some response from this. I would love some response in the chat. I don't, this is, to me, pretty profound. Maybe to you guys, it's elementary or basic. I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else but me. But in the meantime, I'm going to play a song, and I'm gonna try and get my breath back. I've been in the course of recovery, and I'm doing well. My physical therapy. I'm actually I'm actually mobile now. I actually took my first walk today, and it was pretty impressive. I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. So I got to get something for my breathing, something to drink, and hopefully this is at least somewhat entertaining while I do this. Thank you. Okay, this part I would like to definitely dedicate to a great supporter of my channel and someone that I really admire and just the spirit of things. When you go into a state where the body goes on autopilot and you start to sleep and you're laying there, um, most generally you don't remember the state of completely going into the ethereal or the sleep state of mind, but the body does go on autopilot. It's got its own system to sustain you while you're sleeping, and it's not the waking state; it's the subconscious state that tries to process everything. And like I said, that is the part that is most easily accessed and influenced. And if somebody has intent, um, I don't know if you've ever had a precognitive dream or a dream that comes true or a warning dream. Well, that's just showing you that the subconscious is working on levels that go far beyond the spectrum of what the waking state interprets. It, you know, that's how they can easily influence you without making any noise whatsoever. They don't even have to visually stimulate you. You can go to sleep to something and dream about it. That's influence. And that same type of influence used to be used as a type of spiritual warfare, one against another. And as long as they have an image of you in their mind or a changeable position and location, such as a remote viewer does, then they can imply and force their energy or will upon you. I try to protect my sleeping environment just so I can get some type of sleep occasionally. I feed from 4 different sources on a 24 um, daily, and nightly. It's constant feed. And if I wasn't to protect my sleeping state, I probably would be the most irritable, miserable piece of shit you ever saw in your life. Not that I don't stay on the edge of that with just my condition, but I do deal with it. And I try to deal with it as humbly as I can, but some of it is self-induced and some of it is self-inflicted to expand my broadening of understanding. But yes, if somebody has intent for you, if somebody has energy directed to you, the subconscious mind, while the body is on autopilot, can be influenced by thought, by intent, um, and the closer they are to your resonance, the stronger their ability to use that against you is. Now, some things are residual, and a residual is something that I haven't even been able to remove. Um, but anything that is good, bad, or indifferent, I keep out of my space because I don't need an influence in me. You know, if I can't determine that I'm in danger for myself, then how do I know I'm not being influenced by outside energies that are trying to put me in danger? Because I'm aware. I've got a gut feeling, something that a lot of us have lost. A lot of us have given up that gut feeling for food or distraction. But believe me, it's still there. You just got to recap into it. And even with that, if you know yourself any at all, you're going to feel that energy. You're going to know that somebody is trying to push through your removal of the good, bad, and the indifferent. And you can pinpoint that energy once you become sensitive enough to it to almost logically deducting exactly where that energy is coming from and what the intent is, gut feeling, precognitive, you know, interpretation of something that, wow, you know, I feel like somebody's really out to piss on my parade. And I've evacuated my local space of any type of uh, unseen influence that may be of an energy nature. Uh, I hate to use the word spirits or those. It's just energies. And some malevolent, some not, and some indifferent. But you remove your space of those, and the people who have intent for you start to come out of the woodwork. And you're able to identify them. And the more that you become in tune with yourself, and when I mean in tune with yourself, I mean when you remove all the influence and speculation and you start taking on this role of being in this construct in a personal light, then things will start revealing themselves to you. And then you have the control and the power to be able to determine exactly what state you're going to allow yourself to be in. Just as much as you have to eat, drink, or other body maintenances, the internal you also needs that maintenance. Um, for the women, they can very easily see the inner child screaming out of an adult man. You know? And that's something that he'll probably never understand or ever be able to deal with. But I guarantee that the females that hear this, they are absolutely quite in tune with that grown man not ever reconciling with the inner hurt child. And they'll take it out on everything. And they become um, abusive. And they try to put something that they say they love or they want to share their life with or whatever. And then they start directing that hostility and turmoil towards a place they feel safe to do it. And it's a shame. It's really bad. But it also correlates to the female. Um, they have the same type of issue, but it's generally with the male figure in their life. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm just an observer. And this is what I've seen. And instead of a balance and harmony and an inner cleansing of all the residuals that you've refused to deal with, you will take them out on others. And you will make those closest to you your victim, because they're the ones that are most accepting of you and least likely to react with hostility. Unless you go up to some big brawny motherfucker at the gas station and start pushing off your childhood issues, and I'll see how far you get with that. Yeah. Um, it's a sad state of things, but it was a type of engineering that they've done. It was part of them taking apart the fundamentals of a nuclear family. And not that I condone the nuclear family, but I condone family. I condone a balance of masculine and feminine. I condone healthy, insightful work. I condone producing children that aren't scarred with the trauma that the parents have decided to harness within themselves and never address. Because believe me, that feeds through. It's called generational curse. And only you can put an end to that. But you got to go in and do the work. You got to go in and reconcile these. We'll call them demons. You want to talk about demons? Yeah, we'll call them demons. You got your own demons. Everybody's sitting around worried about the demons around them, or does Axis summons demons, or what is his deal? Or you know what? You've got a head full of demons and an emotional baggage that could probably fill a straight. You've got your own demons. And before you procreate, or before you endeavor into bringing life into this realm, I suggest you work on your demons. And that's advice I should have taken years ago, but I wasn't aware. I was just as naive as the next person. And it took a lot of growth. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of inner working. And it took me to dark places because I had some very deep-seated trauma. And it wasn't necessarily mine. It was generational. And it took me a minute to even realize that, oh, that don't seem like something that I should have a problem with. Why is there a problem there? Because it carries over. It's energy. Energy creating energy, creating energy, creating energy. It's built within the fundamental workings of nature and this construct. But when you share that energy with another human being and you birth new life, just remember, it will project everything that it was fed, including your hang-ups, some of your likings, your fears. Just ask your parents. They'll tell you. And ask me. I'll tell you. Yeah. They'll take on your traits. They'll take on parts of you that you never dreamed would surface in your child. But they do. And that's just because that residual carried over. That undealt with part of you that you want to point demons outside of yourself and fight the good fight and He's the true justice warrior, but yet you've got a head full of demons, and your emotions are skewed and distorted. It's only because you didn't go in and do the work. You just kind of bypassed it, maybe with a hobby, TV, computer, I don't know, whatever your hang up is, to bypass dealing with these situations inside of yourself. And until you do that, that energy is going to be residual and it's going to stay. And there are some places and some of us that are much darker seated places, especially people who suffer trauma. That's a real difficult situation to go in and try and deal with trauma. But you got to find strength. You got to know where to find strength. And strength, funny enough, comes from will. Will power. I carry around a pocket full of no's. And if I'm about to endeavor into something stupid, I'll reach in my pocket and sprinkle a no on it. And that reminds me, this is not for my benefit, and it does not serve me at all. And I move forward, lest it attach itself to me and become another issue that I have to internally go inside and deal with. I wish I had an easy way to say this is how to do it and this is how it's done, and it's just not that easy. You know, I can through live streams uh, give information on how to achieve this state and how to deal with it, but I can't be responsible for anyone else's demons but my own. You're responsible for your own demons. And if you want rid of them, then you're going to have to summon up the willpower within yourself to face yourself, to go inside of yourself to those regions where pain of that measure hides. And you're going to have to reconcile with it. The same as the inner child. The hurt inner child is one of the worst. And if you can get there and you can confront that by whatever means, and you can deal with it, then you've alleviated it. You got to come to terms with it. But otherwise, it's just residual, reoccurring, subconsciously brought to the waking state. And sometimes it even produces irrational states of thinking and fear. A lot of people don't realize that their fears are highly irrational and unsubstantiated. Highly unsubstantiated. I've seen more people afraid of the dark just because it was dark, which is complete unsubstantiated fear. But what caused that? And at what point are you willing to go into the dark boldly and letting that fear beside you and leaving it where it is and moving forward? And after you do this a few times, suddenly your irrational fear of the dark goes away. It subsides. And I find some comfort in dark places, you know. Fuck. It's quiet, peaceful, and generally people are afraid to go there. So you know you're not going to be bothered. You know you're not going to be intruded on or interfered with. And now that I've got some of my mobility back, I can locally search out some of these places and endeavor forward with some of my physical work in the waking world outside, someplace I haven't dealt with in a very long time. Um, some people have irrational fear of spiders. Some people deal with these fears. I've watched YouTube videos. I've seen people in real life. When I used to keep snakes, I'd have people come in and they would want to hold the snake. They wanted to touch it, but they were terrified of it. And they would be like, "You get it out of the cage so I can touch it." I said, "You want to touch it, you reach in there and get it, you damn self." And it showed the measure of their fear. It showed the level of their delusional safety protocol. A non-venomous snake is, especially one that isn't of any true size, of no real threat to you. I mean, you know, it's going to bite you, so you don't even feel it, man. You know, you inflict more harm on yourself than that little snake is going to do to you. But there's something about it, man. And then I had those that have come in and actually haven't ever held a snake. And when I tell them, no, if you want to touch it, you need to reach in there and grab it. And they have. And it was the first snake they ever held. And just the amazement in their eyes, interacting past their fear, is amazing. So I know it can be done, inside and out, as above, so below, micro, macro, inside, outside. You know, these things are irrational fears. Now, don't get me wrong, if I would have, you know, introduced them to any of the venom snakes that I would have had, the last thing I would have ever done was recommended that they even approach the cage. That is a very private animal, and it takes a certain type of skill to deal with those type of animals, especially upon feeding and watering them. That's a whole different other story, a whole different other world. I'm just trying to allay the concept of irrational fear and coming to terms with it. Because from one end of the metaverse to the full spectrum of our plane of existence, that seems to be one of the easiest ways that they work against you. They being the powers that be, if you want to know who they are. They are the influencers. They are the social engineers. They, that's who they are. And they will work on your irrational fear. And they will play it to a T. And they will drive you to a residual state of constant looping fear through the subconscious mind of possibilities of, oh my God, when in actuality, nothing to be afraid of in the first place. It's irrational. Now, there are substantial situations that fear is a useful tool. And don't get me wrong, you know, I've had to use fear as a rational tool several times to keep myself alive. And that's what it's there for. The survival mechanism. It's there to serve you, the individual. And it will let you know, just the same as a gut feeling or intuition, that something just isn't right. Something is definitely not right. And you'll pick up on this. But to fear a dark closet, to fear under your bed, to fear what's in the next room, they instill that into you as a child, and you residually carry it over into your adulthood. So when you see that big, giant, black, dark forest, and your fear level starts to go up, how many people have you truly heard of that went into the woods, in the dark woods, and never came out? I bet that number's pretty fucking low. I bet that number is not even hardly measurable. Now, I'm not saying that going into certain areas, but you've got to discern the difference. You've got to know the difference. You've got to read your localized environment, and not through suggested influence of the powers that be, but through your own intuition, through your own understanding, and overcome those fears. Deal with those demons. But remember, the subconscious mind is there to serve you. Don't allow them to use it against you. Don't feed it full of possibilities and eye candy and residual speculation, because that is a state between the quiet you and the waking mind, which is the observer. And when you achieve that, you will find that your focus becomes much more intense and much more in tune, and you're able to interact with this plane of existence on a much more coherent state of understanding. Really, that's the point of what I had to say. Whether it struck a nerve, whether it helped you out, whether we were just a mad ramblings of some psychopath, whatever you take them as. But hopefully they serve you somehow. Hopefully these words resonate with you in some way, that you start doing self-work, inner work, and know that your subconscious mind is vulnerable, and it's being fed devil's candy 24 hours a day. I wish the best for all of you. Lapis, Tools and Tools, Adman, you guys are wonderful, wonderful support. And I appreciate you to an abundance. And no, you're always welcome. You're always welcome. You're always a good sight to see. And may much fortune and peace be with you, Lapis. I hope that you continue to inspire me with your midnight vigil. I really enjoy them. They make my evening. Adman, keep it up, brother. You're a placeholder. Do what you do, man. Do what you do. And Tools, you're always a pleasure to have in the chat. I haven't caught you live yet, but you're awesome. You're all awesome. And I thank you for listening to my mad ramblings. Hopefully, somewhere along the way, this helps you out. So, on that, I'm going to tell you access out, and hopefully, this aids somebody along the way. Self discovery. Thank you very much.